Welcome to the Artist Loft, the talk show for all artists. Join us each show as we spotlight a variety of different creatives, hosted by the Florida Arts Network, with Richard Sosa and Frank A. Ruffolo.
Summer wind came blowing in from across the sea. It lingered there to touch your hair and walk with me. All summer long we sang a song and then we strolled that golden sand, oh yeah. Our two sweethearts and that summer wind, like painted kites, those days and nights, they went flying by. The world was new beneath the blue umbrella sky. Then softer than a piper man, one day it called to you. And I lost you to the summer wind. Come on. The autumn wind and the winter wind, now they've come and gone. And still the days, those lonely days, they go on and on. Guess who sighs his lullabies through nights they'll never end? Ah, my fickle friend, the summer wind, the summer wind, warm summer wind. Oh yeah, gotta love that summer wind, right? Come on now. Right in the midst of it here. I'm in the middle of the city. Look at this. Beautiful. This is perfect for the Halloween season right here. Those fingers in my hair, that sly come hither stare, strips my conscience bare. It's witchcraft. And I've got no defense for it. The heat is too intense for it. What good would common sense for it do? 'Cause it's witchcraft, that crazy witchcraft. And although I know it's strictly taboo, when you arouse the need in me, my heart says yes indeed in me. Proceed with what you're leading me to. It's such an ancient pit, but one that I'd never swim. 'Cause there's no nicer witch than you. 'Cause it's witchcraft, that crazy witchcraft. And although I know it's strictly taboo, when you arouse the need in me, my heart says yes indeed in me. Proceed with what you're leading me to. It's such an ancient pit, but one that I'd never switch, 'cause there's no nicer witch than you. Than you. We love the good witches, right, guys? All right. Thank you.
All right. Oh my
My
gosh,
gosh.
that was amazing, Frankie. Thank you so much. You know, we get a lot of interesting people on this show, and we get a lot of talent. And Frankie is just one of those talents that he's amazing. Of course, you know, you had a huge influence. Frankie Barbado, guys, let's give another round of applause here. Frankie, thank you so much for being on our show, man.
Well, thank you
Seriously.
for having me. Appreciate
Yeah.
you guys bringing me here.
Yeah. So you grew up in Rochester, New York. I just learned because he knows my girlfriend's whole family, which is just absolutely
That's
hysterical.
just small world.
Yeah, it really is. But so how did you go from there to where you are now? Just kind of walk us through
Well,
that.
originally, my family started out in Bari, Italy. My grandfather and Nancy Sinatra's father were plasterers, masons. They worked together. They migrated to New York City, and then from Jersey City to Rochester, New York, my grandfather moved up in that area for work. And we grew up in that area, and then I went from there to Chicago, to LA, and then I came down to Florida, and I met my agent down here and started working in this area. And he said, well, you know, you need to settle in around here. It's easier if you're here. And I love Florida always, but just never had the opportunity to, you know, reside here. And then I finally found a great opportunity, and I took it. And I've been in Florida for probably the last 10 to 12 years, back and forth to New York, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I've been working when I have 2 agents, and I just go through the agencies and get my work, travel all over the country when I'm told, and
Yeah. You do-
flying all over. I just got back from Fort Myers, endured 2 hurricanes, Milton and Helene, and
Yeah.
got
Good
stuck
grief.
over there. And thank God we didn't experience any severe damage. So
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about some crazy timing, huh?
yeah, right, 2 in a row. I mean, I've been here 12 years. I don't think I've ever experienced that kind of phenomenon, but you know.
Yeah, that's got to be. And there's so many people, like North Carolina is just.
This,
Oh my
wrecked.
gosh, it's
Devastating.
a mess.
It's devastating.
It really is.
Who'd have thought 300 miles from the coast and 2,000 feet up?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know, right?
That's crazy.
It's insane. So, all right, so you grew up in the Sinatra family,
Correct.
right? So he had to have been a huge influence because you sound so much like him.
Right.
It's absolutely incredible.
It's amazing because when I grew up, and for a time I lived with my grandfather, who was more connected to the whole family than even I was. Although I had opportunities to interact with Nancy Sinatra Jr., you know, these boots are made for walking. My blood cousins.
Yeah.
And that was early on in my career back in 2004. And my grandfather always told me as a kid, you know, Frank Sinatra would be on TV, and he'd say, "You're related to him. You're related to him." And I didn't know what that. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
my
when you're a
grandfather,
kid,
he was all
it's like, yeah.
excited about Frank Sinatra, and who wasn't at that time?
Yeah.
But I learned later on that there was a musical talent in our life, or in our history, and in my own life, and I really didn't pursue it. I got into radio. I started doing some radio broadcasting. I was a news director, and I did commercial work. and then I started singing for a friend of mine who was a DJ who needed a fill-in. I didn't sing, but I knew how to. I mean, I knew basically. It was like he had the screen, and you could follow. And when they heard me, people were like looking at me like going, "Oh my gosh, you sound like Frank Sinatra," and there was that connection. And I can tell you this: Nancy Barbado Sinatra, Frank's first wife, was the one who really geared him toward the type of music he would do, because she was very into music. She was very talented. Nobody knew this, but like I always say, and I say it with Khalila Ali, Muhammad Ali's first wife. There's always a great woman behind the man that makes it. I always call her the greatest behind the greatest, because it was her that branded what he became. Yeah. And so Nancy was the same with Frank. They don't get that recognition a lot of times, but that's what I promote in my shows, and that's the story I tell, because people need to know that there's a dynamic there that needs to be exposed more, that doesn't get the credit it deserves. And so through that, I started exercising my talent, and it developed over the years. I mean, I started back in the early 90s. I was married at the time, and I had 2 little babies. I was traveling. I traveled to Vegas, and I've been all over the country. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've been all over the country, all over the world. But yes, and then it developed. The sound developed, you know. So.
Yeah, and it's funny because while you were up there singing, Frank and I were talking briefly about, how crooners. Yeah. I mean, that's a lost art.
That's a lost art. There's not too many of you guys around.
No, not at all. I think the most, like I was telling Frank, I think the most recent one that we had was Harry Connick Jr.
Well, Michael Bublé.
He
came out of Canada, and he worked with Dave Foster, great producer. And Michael Bublé is a great talent. Michael Bublé actually brought a lot of notoriety to the music, and brought the younger crowd to start, getting. But he's been, I think, there was a lot of young guys out there doing it, and it's not really widely known. But like I say, Michael Bublé brought a lot of younger people to the music, and they just found it to be very cool and smooth and legendary. It's timeless.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. And so soothing. I mean, it's like I'm listening to you, and of course, I was going back years.
Yeah.
Right.
Soothing and relaxing, and it's just easy on the ears and easy to absorb. It's just not like some of the crazy stuff that's out there right now. Keep your mouth shut.
Careful, because you're gonna start dating yourself. It's like, I know, right? When we were growing up, our dads were like, "Oh, you listen to that garbage," Now we're starting to sound like our dads. Then we hear you, and we're like, "Okay, see, this is what music is supposed to sound like."
Right.
The old joke is, why is the current generation so angry? Is because their music stinks.
Well, I'll tell you what. I can listen to just about anything, but there are some things out there today that I just cannot tolerate.
Yeah,
it's not so much. I try to accept every artist's work for face value, but the thing is, a lot of it isn't really singing. A lot of it is just you're yelling or talking to a beat. And the beat is what's really popular, along with some of the lyrics, I guess. But some of the garbage that comes out of music today, it's unfortunate because it doesn't tell the story. It doesn't have the smooth, cool vibe like, the old Rat Pack did, or the old
Wow.
Yeah, those guys had something, back in the day of Johnny Carson, the talk shows, when things were really, moving and hopping. You had the Don Rickles and the Frank Sinatra, Dean Martins, and
Tony Bennett, and
all the great entertainers. And it's just you don't really have that. Everything's become more politically motivated, I think, and especially in the movie industry and the music industry. And it's unfortunate because you lose a lot when people start voicing their opinions like that, and not just give people the talent of their ability.
Yeah, I know. Like Elvis Presley refused to talk, about anything other than his music.
Right.
Yeah, and that's
smart move.
And that's what's missing. In I think you're right, Frank. That's what's missing. A lot of entertainers get up on a soapbox.
Yep.
And
regardless of what side.
Regardless of what, people and people spend $500, $600, $700, $800, $900, $1,000, $2,000 to go to a ticket. buy for a ticket to go to a concert, and then they end up hearing a lecture.
Yeah.
Exactly. And honestly, nobody really wants to hear anybody's political opinion in those venues or that kind of environment, because whether you agree or disagree, it's just not a place for that.
No, not
And
at
it
all.
makes people uncomfortable to have to listen to something that you may or may not agree with. But even if you agree with it, I know people that have gone to these shows and heard that, and like the Academy Awards, and they got to hear all this political rhetoric. And it's like, I just want to enjoy what you do for a living and not have to formulate opinions.
And you're just going to lose half your audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing. But see, they always do that when they get to a point that they're making so much money that
Then
then
they
they
don't care.
finally basically come out of the closet, so to speak. You know what I mean? When everybody's a millionaire and they don't need the money as much anymore, all of a sudden, they got an opinion.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's
I know, right? I know. I would love to get back to just plain old entertainment.
yep.
And just watching performers like you, just, oh man, just take me back. Just take me back. All right, so we're gonna take a quick commercial break now, and then we will be back with Frankie in just a moment.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Adrian Ramate, but most of you know me as Esteban Julio Ricardo Montoya de Rosa Ramirez from The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. I just wanted to give a shout out to my man Richard Sosa. He is one of the best acting coaches that I've had the pleasure to work with, and he's actually worked with me in my program for many years, and I highly recommend this guy. So if you have an opportunity to work with him, what are you waiting for? Now, get out of my face. Esteban Julio Ricardo Montoya de Rosa Ramirez, I am out.
Frank A. Ruffolo, a renowned author and screenwriter known for his books such as 10048, Blue Falcon, Memoir of a Soldier, and his latest, Samuel of Sarah. Check out his website, frankaruffolo.com, for more info or purchase his books on Amazon.
Hey, Lofties, we're back.
Yes, we're back.
And please let us know if you want more talent like this on our show. Get on our website, drop us a note, and say,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
bring it on.
Yes, check us out at floridaartsnetwork.org. We are a 501c3, and we need your tax-deductible gifts to continue bringing on talent like Frankie here. And we also are set on bringing this kind of stuff to kids nowadays. Kids, unfortunately, in the schools don't have a creative outlet for their talent a lot of times, because these programs get cut when the school starts working their budgets and stuff like that. And the Artist Loft is an arm of the Florida Arts Network. So help us introduce the arts to kids, and help us keep bringing talent like Frank Barbado on the show.
Yeah, and if if you can't write a check and make a donation, if you have a business or brand you want to promote, well, you can come on as a sponsor and contact us on our website and get all the advertising details you need.
Yep. Oh, and before I forget, we need to tell them about Thanksgiving.
Yes, Thanksgiving. We normally have our schedule is every other Thursday, and we had a show scheduled for Thanksgiving evening, which we're not going to do, because why would you want to tie up, people want to go home for Thanksgiving. So
yeah, and after all the turkey, they'd probably fall asleep watching our show, the trip to Japan, it's like,
so
what?
The show before Thanksgiving, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, what we're going to do is we're going to make that show 1 hour long. We'll have 2 guests on that show.
Yes.
And we'll maybe we'll, on Thanksgiving Day, we may just show a rerun on our Facebook page.
Yeah. Well, but we're not going to be live on Thanksgiving Day. Yeah, we're going to be feeding our faces that day. So, Yeah. So don't forget, and we'll remind
Well,
them
we'll
again.
remind you.
Yeah. You remind me.
I'll remind you, and
Yeah,
you
you
remind me,
remind
and then we'll remind them.
I'll show up here going, where is everybody? All right. Okay, so let's get back to Frank. Frankie. This is Frank. Yeah, the young one is Frankie. Well, what'd you say last week? You know, you're 25.
Well, I'm 76, but in Celsius, I'm only 25.
Yeah, there you go. Isn't that great?
That's beautiful.
It is. That is fantastic.
Oh my God, leave it up to Frank.
That's
That's hilarious. I'm going to use that one. Hopefully not when you're around.
Yeah.
I'll be the Milton Berle of...
Oh my
John
gosh.
Berle.
Yeah, keep bringing those names up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I read about these people in history books.
Yeah, Milton Berle, probably people don't even know who he is.
I know. The first one to dress in drag on TV.
Who Milton Berle was?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
the
my
first one.
God.
Uncle Milt.
And look what he started.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, he's the guy we got to slap around, but we can't now for bringing that around, huh?
But
That's
yeah,
funny.
oh my gosh. All right, so Frankie, so like, what are you doing nowadays? What are you doing lately?
Well, you know, I am retired, semi-retired. I mean, but I enjoy what I do. Just when I get the opportunity to sing and do a show or a performance, I always enjoy what I do. I mean, obviously, traveling can be a little much at times.
Yeah.
But you know, it's part of what I do, and I can basically gauge and you know, schedule my events according to what my desire is to do it. I do a lot of charity work. I do a lot with the veterans. So those are things that I tend to put in the forefront of my schedule.
Oh, nice.
Because it is something that I enjoy doing,
Yeah.
and I know it's well appreciated when I bring my name and talent to such an event, and it helps the veterans to raise money. And we did up in Rochester, New York, we did a benefit for Holy Childhood. And we raised I think it was about $5,000 just on a one-night dinner deal, and they were so excited about it. I wanted to raise $10,000. I guess if I would have, you know, maybe signed a picture or something.
Yeah.
I know Kalila. We did an event with Kalila not too long back, and there's a guy locally here. I forget his name, but you might know him. He does the painting to the music. Israel something. I forget his name, but he did a beautiful painting on stage for a charity event of Muhammad Ali, and they do the music, and he spins the painting, and you don't know what he's painting. Do you know who I'm
Well,
talking
I've seen
about?
him, yeah. Or he paints while he's on stage. And
With music going,
Yeah,
and,
and then
everything.
he-
And you have
and then
no
he flips
idea
the-
what he's making until it starts to come to where you can see what it's put together. But he did a Muhammad Ali, and Kalila signed it. We got $10,000 donated for the charity for that painting. So those are the types of events that I'm encouraged to do with her. She does a lot of charity work. I love charity work. I love doing work with the veterans. I love supporting the military, supporting the police, and you know, these are things that come naturally for us because it is something for the community, and it is something to help, you know, the guys that have served. So.
Yeah, I think Frankie wants to get you involved in something here.
Well, no, he would. That artist would be something that maybe we can get him involved doing a fundraiser for us.
Oh, yeah.
I can get his name. I know it's Israel something. I got it somewhere. And when I'll find that particular event, and I'll get you that name because
maybe we can do something with him and Frankie and maybe we get Mama Ali and get all that done. Maybe do a
Mama
thing.
Ali, yeah.
Yeah, you know, that would be incredible to have him paint something Sinatra-like or even of the city while we're singing.
Yeah.
I sang at that show, but not with him.
Yeah.
You know, I sang at the show for the
That'd
gala.
be something. Could you imagine?
That would be.
We need to talk.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah,
Definitely. That's a great idea.
We're over here conducting business on the
conducting
air.
business on the air.
Artwork all over
Why
the
not?
place here.
This is
We
how
could
it
raise a
happens.
ton of money for you
Right.
guys in like
Yeah.
a matter of one dinner, you know. So that's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
that's
so now I
absolutely
think it's
hysterical.
time to have him sing another song.
Yeah, but before we do that,
Before we do that.
why don't you let people know where they can find you?
Okay, so for bookings for me, you can go to frankbarbadolive@gmail.com and just send me an email. And I can pass that on to the agency. I also work with Nero G Entertainment. That's the Nero G. That's NIRRO, Nero G Entertainment. And they're out of Miami. So you can find them online. And either way, you want to book through them, you want to book, direct, you can
All
do
right.
both.
Fantastic. All right. So thanks again for being on our show. And he's going to close us off with another number.
For today.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah, I know. This is definitely one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite shows. Good
Absolutely. All right, and don't forget to go to FloridaArtsNetwork.org, look us up, and drop us a note.
And some money.
Yeah, and some money. All right.
All right, let's take a trip to the moon together. How about it? Here we go. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Come on now. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. All right, we love you. Hope you love us too.
Thank you for watching The Artist Loft. Make sure to tune in next time for another great show. A show that was produced by Ant Media Productions and hosted by the Florida Arts Network with your hosts Richard Sosa and Frank A. Ruffolo.